Welcome to the Selling from the Heart podcast on the Salescast Network. You've joined a global movement of sales professionals who are dedicated to being authentic and building trust. We call it Selling from the Heart. Together, we are on a mission to bring sincerity and substance to the sales profession we all love. Get ready to be inspired and equipped as we join our hosts, Larry Levine and Darrell Amy.
Hey there, it's Larry, and I'm thrilled to share something incredibly close to my heart. My latest book, Selling in a Post-Trust World, is now available. In today's landscape where trust is harder to come by than ever, I've poured my years of experience into these pages to guide you through connecting genuinely and building lasting relationships with your customers. This book is more than just strategies. It's about transforming the way you sell by being authentic, real, and trustworthy in every interaction. It's for those who believe that integrity and sales can go hand in hand, and for anyone looking to not just meet their quotas, but to truly make a difference in their customers' lives. If you're ready to elevate your sales game and navigate the complexities of selling in a world where skepticism is the norm, Selling in a Post-Trust World is your must-read guide. And here's the best part. Even though it won't hit the bookstores until this summer, you can get your hands on an advanced reader's copy right now. Just head over to sellinginapostrustworld.com or click the link in the show notes, and let's embark on this journey together towards more meaningful, trust-based selling.
Hello and welcome back to the Selling from the Heart podcast. Your co-host, Darrell Amy, here today with Larry Levine. What's going on, Larry?
Another great day. We have all kinds of things going on here at Selling from the Heart. Great seeing you. We're in for a treat today, let me tell you, Darrell.
Richard Weylman is in the house, 100 proven ways to acquire and keep clients for life. You're going to love this discussion. We've got so many fun things going on here at Selling from the Heart. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that's grabbing the new book, going on social. We're loving seeing these books next to our friends smiling. Selling in a Post-Trust World is catching on fire, and it is so exciting to see the impact, the stories that are already coming back as people are applying what they're learning in this book. Larry, thank you. This is a true gift to the sales profession.
You know, it absolutely is. And it's just, I'm super grateful to everyone. I want to give a special shout out to somebody who I met less than a year ago who latched on to Selling from the Heart, who's now latching on to Selling in a Post-Trust World. Travis Hale, I really appreciate you. Not just because you got one book, you got multiple copies of the book. Travis, I sincerely appreciate you. Thank you.
If you want to get your advanced reader's copy of Larry's new book, Selling in a Post-Trust World, all you got to do is go to sellinginapostrustworld.com. Link is down there in the show notes. Grab your copy. We've got some exciting announcements coming up soon about the launch of this book officially later in the summer. It's going to be a ton of fun, but you can get an advanced reader's edition right now at sellinginapostrustworld.com. Well, today we are thrilled to welcome Richard Weylman, the acclaimed author of the new book, 100 Proven Ways to Acquire and Keep Clients for Life. Richard's groundbreaking work offers a comprehensive blueprint that marries client acquisition with loyalty, providing us with step-by-step strategies for creating exceptional customer experiences while building authentic relationships. Today, we're going to dive deep into how Richard's methods not only drive business growth, but also help sales professionals establish genuine empathy with their prospects and clients, a crucial skill in today's competitive market. Richard, welcome to the Selling from the Heart podcast. It is great to have you here.
Hey, great to be with you both, Darrell and Larry. Thanks so much. I'm excited about your new book coming out.
Oh, thank you.
Get on the list, as they say. In a non-trust world, that's an important idea. And believe me, it is a non-trust world. People today are in a different place than they were before the pandemic. Thanks for that.
Oh, amen.
So true.
This is grateful to have you.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. This is going to be a fun discussion, Richard. And you know the question that every guest on the Selling from the Heart podcast answers, and that is, what does it mean to you, Richard, to sell from the heart?
You know, it's an interesting question. And I think it's one that often sales professionals, even CEOs, entrepreneurs, they don't put the brakes on long enough to say, well, what does it really mean to sell from the heart? But it's critically important for us to realize that once you understand what selling from the heart means, it just changes your perspective. For me, selling from the heart is the whole idea of really connecting with people to see things, and here's the important point, explain things from their point of view. The consumer, regardless of what you sell, has so much information coming to them. And most of the information is, we're number one, we're the best, this is dynamite, this is the best, this will be great, this is going to be great. It's all about the person or the company or the product being sold. Salespeople love the P's, the product, the platform, the procedures, the plan, the process, everything they sell. But what the consumer's in love with is the outcome. And their heart is into the outcome and the experience they have. And when they have that great outcome clear in their mind, and they get a great experience because you're focused on them and not on yourself, they think, oh my God, finally I'm in the right place with the right provider. Is that helpful?
Oh, hey, Richard, amen on that one. Double high five. And I have to throw a highlighter on this one, because when you shine the light on the person or the people sitting in front of you, they'll shine the light right back. But all too often, the light's always been shining on salespeople, and it gets into all your P's that you just mentioned. All we got to do is flip the switch. But when you connect to their heart, watch what starts to happen. I think you'd agree, Richard.
Absolutely. And if we really think about what's happening, and what's happened since the pandemic, you got your new book coming out. It's after the pandemic. You're exactly right. But what happened was people realized they had a lot of choices. They realized community was really important, because the only way they can stay sane, is dial 1-800, Zoom with somebody I know. Yeah. So that's what happened. But in the end, what consumers are doing now is they're going through a great reevaluation. Am I with the right company? Have I got the right product, the right hairdresser, the right dentist, the right dry cleaner? Have I got the right car? Have I got the right relationship? Am I going to the right restaurant? So they're going through this great reevaluation. And as a result of that, what sales professionals need to do, and entrepreneurs and CEOs, and I have the privilege of consulting with a lot of companies all over the world, speak all over the world. My message is simply this: you've got to re-engage with people, because it's relationships that are going to drive revenue. Everything, for the most part, is becoming commoditized. So if it's commoditized, what's the distinction? It had never, I talked to a CEO this morning. He said, we've got great service. Well, we're happy for you there, big boy. But the problem is service is minimum expectation. People today expect service. What they're looking for is an elevated experience, so they feel like they're in the right place and somebody is selling from the heart and servicing and doing business with them from the heart, not from the transaction.
Oh, I love this, Darrell. I love it.
Richard speaking our love language. Hey, Richard, congratulations, by the way. This new book, 100 Proven Ways to Acquire and Keep Clients for Life. Heart-centered. We can tell anyone listening in, you want to hit pause right now and go grab this thing while you can. By the way, I understand these things are selling off the shelves. The book is really catching stride very quickly. And the reason for that, I believe, is exactly what you're talking about, which is this desire, this need to create an authentic experience. This is such an important time right now. And I love the sales profession, because in the sales profession, regardless of what our company does, and I hope your company does a good job if you're listening in, but as salespeople, we have an incredible opportunity to create, to enhance, to make that customer experience special. I believe in a way that nobody else does inside, the company. We've got the opportunity to do this. And your book is a guide in terms of 100 different ways to do it. So thank you for that, Richard. This is a tremendous gift, not only to the business world, but to all of us here in sales.
Well, thank you. And you're right on this cruise. People today are very interested in the experience they're going to have. That's what motivates them. And the individual. Everybody said, well, the CEO. Yes, the CEO has to set the temperature and the tone and create a culture. I mean, that's an area of responsibility, as does every manager. But the individual is the one that's going to, when they interface with you as a restaurant, if you're a waitress or a waiter in a restaurant, if you are running a dry cleaner, if you're employed somewhere else, if you're a service person, regardless of your profession, if you're a dental hygienist, the reality is my interaction with you is going to be an experience that you control. So as that type of individual, realize if you have any interface at all with the consumer, people are going to have an experience with you. You're the one that's going to decide what that's going to be. May I give you a quick 30-second story?
Absolutely.
All right. But before I finish the book, and it just came out this March. So A year before that, so that was November 2022. I'm speaking in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm writing the book, and it's all in my mind. And I was speaking about elevating the client experience to create delighted advocates. And so I was telling stories about situations where that happened. Ballroom, I don't know, 1,200, full ballroom, 1,200 people or so. I was keynote in the conference. And I said, by the way, I saw a story on LinkedIn this morning where this woman posted about her cat. She had a standing order with Chewy, the cat supply company. And she had a standing order. This is November. The order just came. She called Chewy on the phone and said, I want to return my order. My cat has passed away. And the rep said, absolutely not. You cannot return the order. We want you to donate it to the shelter, and we'll give you 100% credit on your bill. The audience goes, ooh. And I said, but that's only half the story. I said, the other half of the story is 3 days later, she got a condolence card and a bouquet of flowers from the rep at Chewy. As soon as I finished that, this woman stood up in the middle of 1,200 people and screamed and held up her phone and said, that was my cat. I posted it. So I just stopped right there, and she said, I got over 1,200 likes. So I said, okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a dog or cat, anybody heard of Chewy? And everybody's hand. I said, what does this tell you? The whole room starts chanting, we're switching to Chewy. We're switching to Chewy. So if anyone doubts that the consumer is there, I'll give you another example. Chick-fil-A closes every Sunday. That's 52 days a year. Another way to look at it as a business person is they close November 10th and open January 1st. Are we clear? So that's 52 days. Thank you. We're going to close. Okay, November 10th. Kids, you're off until the New Year. See you then. Yet they have the highest revenue of any fast food chain in the world by restaurant, and they're not open 24/7 anyway. They're a 12-hour, if you will, operation. So how is that happening? Well, I knew it true at Kathy. He was a friend of mine. He was the founder of Chick-fil-A, and he used to always tell me, we did a lot of travel. We did a lot of things together. And he just said, Richard, I always remind the crew now, we're not in the chicken business. We're in the people business. Yep. And I walked the line of Chick-fil-A when I was writing the book, because I told Dan, his son, who runs it, I want to find out why people come here. He said, you're going to find out it's not the chicken. And he was right. I would stick the mic up the phone. I said, I'm doing an interview. We're trying to figure out why you're here at Chick-fil-A. Oh, the chicken's fantastic. I said, so that's why you're here? Well, no. They're so kind and they're so polite. And then one little girl in the back seat said, I always like extra pickles, and they always hand me extra pickles. I don't eat because they know our car and they know my mommy. Any questions?
Yeah. No, and this is so good, and I'm glad you're bringing up this experience part of this. It's Selling from the Heart, Richard. We believe this is an inspirational experience because we believe leaders inspire and influence. Sales professionals are leaders. So I want us to continue down this experience road, because here at Selling from the Heart, we believe this is what salespeople can control. It's how y'all show up. I'm sure you work for a fine company that's got great support, it's got great service, or you wouldn't be there. But let's just face it, there's competition out there. And the experience that you provide, or the inspirational experience, or use the word delight, you all control this. Can you speak to the salespeople and the sales leaders out there when they hear you control the experience and they start maybe hemming and hawing a little bit? Speak to why this is so important, if you can.
All right, let me give you 90 seconds on this. When I wrote the book, it began to occur, we're a consulting firm. So in 2018, I'm starting to see, I'm getting this sense things are shifting. People are making decisions based on emotional components, as they always have, but there seemed to be an underbelly there. And so long story short, what dawned on me was, it was not only the experience, but what kind of an experience was the point? Because a lot of people, you're going to have to have great experience. So I began to ask questions, and here's what people are looking for. They want a personalized and humanized experience with their provider. If you're a salesperson, you're my provider. Yes, you got a great company, but in the end, I'm handing the check to you because I'm building a relationship with you. So I said, okay, what does this mean, personalized and humanized? I mean, it's a wonderful set of words that means nothing. So I began to ask people, what does that mean? And here's what I discovered, and that was the whole premise under the book. So I began to ask people how to implement. So here's the reality. Here's what people said they want. They want someone who's kind, an individual that's kind to them, a company that's kind to them, that goes the extra mile, let's put it that way. Someone that's thoughtful, takes the time to really find out what I think and why I think that. Someone that cares enough to really discover what I need and what I really need, and transparent enough to help me get it. and empathetic enough to see things from my point of view. So what are people looking for? They want thoughtfulness, kindness, caring, and empathy. And if you deliver that, that becomes the bedrock of the relationship. And relationships are the only thing that's driving revenue today. And so as a result of that, that becomes a critical link between acquisition and, if you will, retention. I'll just finish by saying this. If you look at it from the perspective of people, every single company is taking on new customers this year. And those customers, most of them were doing a business somewhere else. Now, why did they leave? Well, the reality is most people left because they had a bad experience. 83% of people that switched providers last year, according to Salesforce survey, we worked with them on 6,034 people. 83% said they changed providers because of a bad experience. The experience was terrible. They weren't treated right. They weren't treated in a humanized, personalized way. So as salespeople, there's lots of things we can do, and I can cover some of that if you'd like, but it's important to recognize they want what? Someone that's kind, thoughtful, caring, and empathetic. You do that, changes the game.
Love it. Love it. And I love this perspective of having a bad experience. That the experience word just stands out right there. And we've got so many opportunities. And I do absolutely want to dive into what we can do as salespeople. Sure. But before that, I just want to say there are 100 ways, 100 proven ways to acquire and keep clients for life. That's the title of Richard's new book. You want to go grab a copy because we challenged to see if Richard could read all 100 during our 25-minute podcast. But we thought that wouldn't be a very good experience for our listeners. Trust me, you're going to have a much better experience if you go buy this book. But Richard, I'd love for you to coach us on this. As sales professionals, what can we do to help create that proven experience that delivers the outcome of not only attracting, but retaining clients?
That's a fabulous question. Let me tell you how it came about, how the book came about. Because in all our consulting work, working with an NFL team that had a losing season year after year after year, we worked with them and took them from 17th in NFL revenue to 7th in 1 year with a losing team. We took a fast food chain that won the National Restaurant Award and beat everybody, Culver's Steak, Culver's Smashburger, everybody, by what? Elevating the experience in their stores and by really helping them to connect with their consumers. And I could give you many, many stories, but here's the reality. Through all of those consulting projects, I began to ask people, because I'd say, what do you want? Well, I wish they were more personalized. Well, what does that mean? How could they do that? And they tell me, so I wrote it down. And so that's how the book came about, because people were saying, if you would do this, I would be loyal. If you would do this, I think you care. If you would do this, I would be an advocate. I was like, well, if this is what they want, it's probably a good idea if we maybe started to do some of these things. So I'll give you a couple examples, and I'll take it sort of from the top. Number one, use my name. Use my name. Yeah. And I'll just give you a classic example. I have a good friend of mine in Atlanta. Her name is Elizabeth. Everybody calls her Elizabeth that does not know her. Her nickname is Lolly. Now, why? Because when she was a little girl, her grandfather gave her lollipops and called her Lolly since she was as long as she could remember. So people try to call her Beth and Elizabeth, and financial people call, hi, Elizabeth. And she hangs up on it. She said, they don't know me. They don't connect with me. Dr. Donna Wilson probably wants to be called Dr. Wilson before you ever get to the point of calling her doctor. T. Boone Pickens was a friend of mine. He never went by T. Okay. My first name is Charles. It's Charles Richard. I don't use it. It's C. Richard, and I don't really use the C, but I get lots of email, Dear C. So I don't read those. I just pretty much figured disconnect, just saying. So that's one. Two, think about it from the perspective of the consumer. When you write to someone, use their first the name that they prefer. Secondly, don't tell me to feel free to call you. I mean, the truth is, I have a cell phone. I pay my bill. It's free. Tell me, feel welcome to call. Be more gracious. They love it when you say, feel welcome to call. I spoke about this in Dallas a year ago at a top producer conference, top 25 people in the world in this particular type of business. I was then in Long Island about a year later, and one of the guys in that audience was sitting on the front row with his two daughters that were in the business with him. We got to the Q&A session, and they raised their hand. I said, yes. And they said, do you remember our dad? He was at that meeting. I said, yes. And he asked the question about how to sign off emails. I said, no, I don't remember exactly what. They said, well, we changed it. When he got back, we did what you said. Feel welcome to reach out. She said, we actually have customers that call us and say, thank you. That is so kind of you. No, I mean, come on. We're not talking about writing a check here. We're talking about refocusing on our abilities and our concepts and our communication skills, as an example. When you explain the value of that which it is that you sell or you deliver, it's an air conditioning service or financial services, or don't talk about just the attributes, but talk about what does this mean to you, Mr. and Mrs. Wilson, to help you get your financial life in balance or get to retirement. Use the phrase, what this means to you. And so I tested that in focus groups, and people were like, as soon as I'd start, what this means to you, they'd hit it. Oh, empathetic. Oh, clear. I wouldn't even get the rest of the sentence out. But just the fact that I would take the time to preface what this means to you, they love it. So, I mean, that's a couple of, another thing. When you communicate with people, don't talk to people, hi, hey, Darrell, Richard Weylman, just calling to follow up with you. What does that mean? I got nothing else to add, but I'm really desperate for a sale, and you probably forgot my number, so I was hoping you'd call me. I mean, what are you doing? We ask people they hate the fact that people call to follow up or email to follow. I'm just following up. Snap out of it. The point is, adults love steps. So instead of saying I'm calling to follow up, what I would say is, hi, Darrell, Richard Weylman here. Listen, I really appreciate the fact that you came in. We looked at that new Audi. It was really good. Listen, I've identified a couple of extra steps we could take to help you get that car in your driveway. People like steps. And when we ask people, they say, why don't they talk in steps? They always talk about, so what do you think? What do you think there, Ms. Wilson? What do you think of this? Are we good here? You got it? So give them steps. Adults want steps. Another thing is stop talking down to people. So does that make sense? I mean, you're smart enough to keep up. Just curious. Does that make sense? I mean, are you with me? Are you with me? I had a guy that sent me a tape, and he said, Richard, I don't understand why people are saying no. So I listened to the first 2 minutes of it. It said, so I know this is complicated, so I hope you can keep up with me. Well, I wouldn't have stuck around either. Your job there, big boy, to make it clear. I mean, I'm sorry, I know it's smart though, and I'm really happy for you there. I mean, think about what we're saying. Let's not be quite so condescending that people ranted and raved about it. I mean, unbelievable. Another thing is that when you're having a conversation with people, try to explain things and ask sensitive questions empathetically. Now, I struggled with this. I mean, I've always been sensitive to it. I was an orphan. My mother died when I was 5. My dad died when I was 6. I lived in 19 foster homes. So went to 11 different schools. So you sort of figure out ways to connect with people. And that's always been sort of my thing. And that's what I speak about. How do you really connect with customers and prospects and open closed doors, et cetera. So I've always been passionate about how can you ask tough, sensitive questions, let's call it that, in a way that doesn't offend people. But it's not easy. So when I'm writing this book, I mean, I was really wrestling with it. And I sat up in the middle of the night one night and I yelled, it's the predicate. Well, my dog, I think, thought it was Predator because he went. Rolex, the wonder dog, he's growling. He's like, Daddy, let's go get him. Grab the Glock. So I'm like, okay, everybody. My wife said, what is it? I said, it's the predicate. She said, what? I said, it's the predicate. The predicate's the problem. She said, honey, please, just start writing this book. We're not getting any sleep. You keep waking up in the night with all these epiphany moments. But then I tested it, and it is the predicate. I'll give you an example. If you don't mind me asking, Darrell, as soon as you say, if you don't mind me asking, people are like, oh, my God, what's coming now there, big boy? People are immediately, defensiveness goes up. Immediately. We monitored it. I've done psychological studies with various schools. The psychological anxiety is very high, if you don't mind me asking. Because what you're really saying is, I know this is a tough question, so I know it's going to be hard for you, et cetera. There's no empathy there. And what dawned on me, it's the predicates in the wrong place. So I did a focus group, and it's really funny because I'd say, okay, now, it's only 35 people. I'm going to take you through a series of questions. I want you to tell me which is empathetic, you push the left button, and which one is rude. So I'd start. If you don't mind me asking, I said, folks, you need to let me finish asking the question. That's how I want to ask the question, and then you tell me if it's rude. Okay? If you don't mind me, okay, let's try this again. 4 times before I finally said, I have to, this is the question. I'm setting up the question. Oh, okay. So if you don't mind me asking how much rude, I'm like, Okay. I was going to ask them, how much money do you make? But there was no reason to ask that. They were already decided it was rude. Right? So, you got 30 people in a room and 28 hit rude. It's sort of an indicator. So I thought, okay, now I'm going to ask you the same question. How much money do you make, if you don't mind me asking? What do you think? 27% empathetic. So then we began to coach and consult with companies about, I've got a small bank, 5 branches. We taught all their salespeople, they're up 800 million in new assets. 800 million in 10 months.
Wow.
Why? Because they're asking questions like, how much money would you like to invest? If you don't mind me asking, how much money do you have currently involved in another firm? If you don't, and people say, well, I don't normally talk about it. I talked to a guy the other day, he's a contractor. He said, Richard, it's changed our business. I meet with people and say, well, how much is your budget? And I always start off with, if you don't mind me asking how much you want to spend, and people always kind of go, well, as little as possible. He said, so I start off with, what kind of a budget are you working with, if you don't mind me asking? And he said, people will go, well, we'd like to spend, we could spend 60 if we had to. We really wanted to spend 40, but he said, it's just amazing. I get like 20 to 30% more money because I'm empathetic. Now let's back up. Stephen Covey, I'm not going to get the quote exact because that's not me. I'm just giving you a reference point. But Stephen Covey talked about this in one of his treatises. And he talked about the fact when you when you demonstrate empathy, let's put it that way, the defensiveness goes down, the positivity comes in, and people are open to a creative solution. Mm-hmm. Therein is the point. And I did a whole chapter on how to demonstrate empathy and connect with people, not based on what Richard thinks. I did a broadcast this morning on CBS, and they said, well, what do you think? Who cares what I think? All I care about is one thing. And I built my entire speaking career. I've done over 4,000 presentations. I got into the Customer Experience Hall of Fame. That's not meant to impress you. That's just meant to impress upon you that when you go out and find out what people want, it changes the game for companies. Here's what's important. It's not what I think. It's what the people in the stucco house are thinking. And if we can figure out what they're thinking, we win.
Hey, Darrell, you know what, Richard, this is a PhD level stuff in just the experience. But here's what I really love about what you just said. Mm-hmm. And it's when you can connect, right? When you can connect to the hearts and minds, you connect by the words you use and the messaging you use is either going to connect or it's going to do the complete opposite. It's going to disconnect. Yeah. And the faster we get this up here in our heads, the faster we're going to see increases in revenue. It's exactly what you just said.
You're exactly right. I coach a team for Keller Williams, who they are, the real estate.
Yeah.
Barbara Corcoran's group. She had a group that was 97th in the country and thought, they could really do better, Richard. So, okay, fine. We'll see if we can give us some feng shui and move forward. So anyway, they just finished 5th in the nation last year. Now, how do you go from 97th to 5th? Well, one of the things we did, I said, what do you send the people when they list a home or sell a home? Oh, we sent them a cake. I said, great. What's a cake say? Congratulations. I said, no, what does the cake say? It says, congratulations. I said, I want a picture of the cake. So they said it was a round cake. Said, congratulations. Congratulations for what? Well, for listing the house. I said, it doesn't say that. It just says congratulations. Oh, well, what should it say? So I said, let's have a picture of that. I can keep the round cake, but let's draw an outline on the house and put the new street number on of the house they're selling or the house they're buying and put, welcome to your dream home, or we look forward to selling this one so you can get your dream home, and send it to them. Oh, great idea. We'll send it to their house. No. Send it to their office. Why? It's going to up in the break room. What's going to happen? They're going to be eating the cake. Is this your birthday? No, my realtor sent it to me. We sold the house. This is amazing. Fast forward. They sent the first cake. It got posted on Facebook. And guess what happened? Yeah. 2 buyers, both bought houses, 2 listings. Thank you very much. That's called thoughtful, kind, going the extra mile. Anybody?
I love it. I love it. So much fun. And the customer experience side of this is a lot of fun. Yeah. As we wrap this conversation, Richard, I've got a question for you. And that is, I know everyone's thinking, how can I get more Richard Weylman in my life? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh, there you go, Darrell. Hey, how'd you like that, Richard?
Hey, Larry, I think it was spectacular. It's nice when you have a student, someone, a good friend of mine years ago said, to know and not to do it is as good as not to know. And that was nicely done, Darrell. We're quite proud of you. Right. That was nicely done. Larry, give him a pat on the back. It's great.
Oh, that one was hard, but I'll give him a pat on the back.
So, Richard, how can folks get more Richard Weylman in their life? This book's out there, 100 Proven Ways to Acquire and Keep Clients for Life. What else can we do to get our arms around this? Because this is incredibly powerful stuff.
Well, thank you. You're very kind. So, and you're both very kind for inviting me to be on today. So go to Richard, WEYLMAN.com. Richard, WEYLMAN.com. Weylman. And you go to the website and lots of things. Number one, of course, you can order the book there. And you just click in the book. And the beauty of that is I have all the links, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, wherever you want to go, anywhere in the world. We just launched in Europe yesterday. So it's available now globally. That's the first thing. Second thing, if you want, you said, well, I don't know if I'm going to like this book. Read chapter 1. It's free. Download it. It's right there on my website. Just, have it. Enjoy it. And then you can buy the rest of the book. So that's the other thing. Third, you'll notice there's a lot of tools. There's a point that says tools. Well, you'll see in the book, I give you a communication schedule and things like that, and how you can communicate with people throughout the year and the things you can do. Well, it's nice to have it in the book, but what are you going to do? Lay it on a photocopy or try to copy it? No. You go to my website, download. They're free. All the charts, all the tools in the book I put in here so you can download them free as a Word doc and use them in your business because I want you to implement, not just conversation. So the next thing is also there, I've just put up 20, I'll say 25, I think it's 30, but whatever. I just did 2 2-minute short vignettes that you can use in your sales meetings, etc., that are not just all based on the book, but just on feedback and things that people are interested in. You can go there. They're not tied to YouTube. I put them on a standalone so you don't have to watch ads. You can go in and click on those videos. They're right there on the website. It's free. Just enjoy them. I just want to plant that in your business, help you to grow your business so you can really move your business forward. And then last but not least, you'll see speaking topics there and how you can contact me to speak at your conference wherever you are in the world. And it would be a privilege for me to be able to come in and help you elevate your business performance and really connect with people in today's community. Thank you for the privilege of being with you today.
That's awesome. Great experience, Darrell.
You had an amazing experience,
Richard.
Thank you so much. This has been incredible.
My pleasure. Thank you.
What a powerful conversation. So many practical things inside this. And I'm so excited about just unpacking this further because what we're talking about here, Richard said something really, really critical early on. And yes, we're talking about experience, but behind all of that, above all of that, is the relationship. And we say people buy from people in sales. Everybody says it. Well, what are you going to do about it? And this has been a very, very practical and pointed conversation about what we can do about it. And this is this authentic relationship blended with this inspirational experience. It's a game changer.
Absolutely. And there's a word I want everyone to just think about. And we did get a chance to dive into it. Maybe if Richard will be kind enough to come back, we will. The word's benchmarking. There's a reason why I bring this up. Salespeople, sales leaders, CEOs of companies, you're being benchmarked. The conversations you are having right now with your clients, they're benchmarking and comparing those conversations to all the hundreds of conversations they're having with other salespeople. How are y'all standing out? Great conversation, Darrell.
You might be even benchmarked against the person serving you your chicken sandwich at Chick-fil-A. So it's time to up our game in all of this. Go grab a copy of Richard's new book, 100 Proven Ways to Acquire and Keep Clients for Life. And while you're at it, grab an advanced reader's edition of the new book out from Selling from the Heart by none other than Larry Levine himself, Selling in a Post-Trust World. There's links in the show notes for all the stuff we've talked about today, for Richard's resources, for Selling in a Post-Trust World, and lots of other stuff. We want to support you in this journey of authenticity. And Larry, I'm excited as we move through this summer. We've got an incredible roster of guests.
We sure do. And each and every week, we're going to bring to you new faces, new ideas, fresh thoughts, all to help you grow your business and build trust.
So thank you to everybody that's sharing this podcast, especially those of you who are leaving a review on the platform on which you listen. Till next time, keep being genuine, keep being authentic, keep building trust, design an incredible customer experience, and most of all,
sell from the heart.